Good afternoon, everyone. The Senate Capital Investment Committee will come to order. It's Thursday, March 5th, 2026. This looks like quite a rowdy crowd, so I'm just going to send out the message that you may be hearing in other committees, that everybody has to be nice. So that's it. We have first on our agenda the Perpich Center for Arts Education. So we do have 3 people online, so you all know, and then we have 3 of us here plus staff in the committee room, and then I'm sure we'll have others joining us. But why don't you go ahead with introduce yourselves and your presentation.
Thank you, Chair Pappas, and members of the committee. My name is Allegra Smishek, and I am the Executive Director of Perpich Center for Arts Education. I'm joined today by my colleagues.
Good afternoon, John Tope, Finance Director at Perpich.
Betsy Anderson, Communications Director.
Because we know it's important to understand our impact locally, we created 1-page summaries for each Senate district again. These include the number of educators from your districts who worked with Perpich over the past 2 years, the events they participated in, and their feedback in their own words. I've served as Executive Director for about 18 months and bring more than 20 years of experience in public education, both in the Metro and Greater Minnesota. Perpich provides one of the most impactful educational experiences for both students and educators that I've ever seen. Because of our strong national reputation, Perpich was selected to participate in the National Scrollathon, a collective art installation celebrating the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding this year. All 50 states and inhabited territories are participating, and Perpich will represent Minnesota in this national project, and the art will be displayed at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. this spring. Perpich Center for Arts Education was founded as a state agency 40 years ago. Our facilities are a bit older than that. We are very unique because we are both a state agency and run a public high school. Most of you are most familiar with the Perpich Arts High School in Golden Valley, which serves 11th and 12th grade students. But that's only one part of our work. We also operate a statewide arts education resource library available to all Minnesota residents, and our professional development and resource programs, which I'll refer to as PDR. The scope of PDR's work is very significant. Last year alone, our staff hosted 313 events, serving nearly 2,000 educators and administrators across Minnesota. This information is also included in the annual report we provide to the legislature each January. And this map is a visual that shows the reach of that work. Last year, Perpich worked with 275 school districts across all 67 Senate districts. Our arts high school serves 11th and 12th grade students in 6 arts areas. While the metro area has more than 20 arts-focused schools, there are no comparable options in Greater Minnesota. That's why nearly 7 out of 10 students rely on our residential program. Without it, many students from Greater Minnesota would not have access to an arts high school experience. Perpich is not a metro art school. It is a statewide public access model. Our annual report highlights strong student outcomes. We have a 100% graduation rate, strong ACT averages, and high levels of belonging on the Minnesota Student Survey. Because of these and other great student outcomes, the Art Schools Network recently named Perpich an exemplary school, and that's a national designation that we will hold for 5 years. So we're very proud of that. Beyond the school year, our campus also supports extensive summer programming in our facilities. And we host events that benefit youth and adults from across Minnesota throughout the year. As a state agency, Perpich is funded almost entirely by the Minnesota legislature. And unlike school districts, we do not have access to traditional funding streams for capital projects. Because of this structure, asset preservation funding is the only way we can address major facility needs. We truly cannot do this without you. Perpich has no taxation authority. We receive no state aid, and we receive no federal title funding. So asset preservation funding is critical to maintaining our facilities. Last year, we received $1.26 million in asset preservation funding. Thank you very much. Those funds are being used to upgrade the campus building automation system that manages our HVAC infrastructure. This work modernizes equipment, improves maintenance, and increases heating and cooling efficiency across several campus buildings. We are also replacing aging control components where they will provide the greatest operational return. In the bottom, you can see a photo of our loading dock, which desperately needs to be resurfaced. It has become a safety issue. There is a drainage issue below ground, which we need to mitigate so that the tarring retains its normal and useful life. This year, we requested $6 million to address two urgent needs. First, creating a secure and accessible main entrance, and second, upgrading restrooms to be ADA compliant. We're really grateful that the governor recommended $1.3 million toward this work. Currently, our main entrance presents both security and accessibility challenges. Visitors must be buzzed into the building before providing identification. In most buildings that house schools, there is a security checkpoint prior to entry. Our security desk and main office are on different floors, so guests enter the building and then they have to walk upstairs to check in. And for visitors with accessibility needs, the process is even more complicated and requires using an outdated lift before reaching the main elevator. This project would allow us to create secure, accessible entry point that addresses both of those concerns. The restrooms on the east side of our administrative buildings and dormitories still have their original 1960s fixtures and layouts. As a state agency serving students, educators, and visitors from across Minnesota, these spaces really need to be brought into ADA compliance. These upgrades are not about expansion, they are about maintaining safe, accessible facilities for Minnesotans. Our students come from every region of Minnesota. They care deeply about their Perpich community and their home communities. And in this slide, you can see Perpich students who reached out to the Annunciation community after the shooting. And these are photos of them volunteering at Fletcher Fest, where they provided different activities for students to express their grief through art. And like students across our state, Perpich students deserve to learn in facilities that are safe, accessible, and supportive. So with your support, we can ensure Perpich continues to provide that environment for students across Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Smizek. So the committee toured Perpich School in '23, but that would have been before you were there, right? So I'm familiar with that staircase that goes up. That's kind of weird, right? I'm just wondering what was the school before? Anybody know the history? Speak to that. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Betsy Anderson, Communications Director, Madam Chair. Yes, prior to the state purchasing the campus, it was the Golden Valley Lutheran Community College, which was an iteration of the Lutheran Bible Institute that moved from Minneapolis to Golden Valley in the early 60s. I believe they broke ground in '59 and opened the building in '61. So that's the age of the building.
Yeah.
We are 40 years old as an agency, but the building is from '61.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
I just wonder, have you ever looked at, would it be more advantageous to be a charter school? If you compared, the kind of resources that the state would provide you as a charter school as opposed to as a state agency. Maybe your finance director needs to take a look at that, Mr. Tube. Do you know anything about whether that would be advantageous?
John Tope, Finance Director, after spending 31 and a half years in school districts, I can tell you for sure that it would not be to our benefit to be a charter school.
Okay.
And that's not the way Perpich was intended to be funded anyway.
It wasn't. I'm just wondering if the charter school has more access to more of the student aid, per pupil aid.
Sure.
That would be
Because
helpful.
that's only 1/3 of our work,
Right.
that would be a difficult funding combination.
Right, because of all the work you're doing around the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the creative thinking.
Well, you know, I mean, there's also the possibility that your statewide work is still part of state government, but then your school actually becomes a charter school. Anyway, I think it's worth thinking about. I don't know enough about what access charter schools, I haven't been on the committee for a long time, in terms of the asset preservation needs of the building. That also might be kind of tricky. Right. Great. Does anybody on the committee have any questions? Senator Kroon, you're looking thoughtful.
I just think it was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, right. Because we haven't really been keeping up with asset preservation needs of our state agencies. I think it's part of the problem, though. Anybody else have any comments, questions? All right, thank you. We'll do our best.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
All
very
right,
much.
thanks. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Congratulations, although you've been here now a year and a half, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a wonderful place to be.
Great, thank you. Oh, here's their whole report. Oh, great. Okay. Next on our agenda, Commissioner is with us, Sarah Strawman, the Department of Natural Resources. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Pappas and committee members. Just going to get our presentation queued up. My name is Sarah Stroman. I have the honor of serving as the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, and with me is Samantha Minkler. She serves as our Capital Asset Manager at Minnesota DNR. And we are very pleased to be here this afternoon to present the Governor's 2026 infrastructure proposal for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, as well as give you a little bit of an update on the 2025 Natural Resources Asset Preservation, or NRAP. So we'd like to start with a reminder about the capital assets managed by Minnesota DNR. We manage and maintain public land and infrastructure on behalf of Minnesotans, providing countless benefits to our state. These assets not only support our agency's mission, they serve Minnesotans across the state and are part of the fabric of communities in which Minnesotans live. Many of these assets are highly visible and directly experienced by Minnesotans. And so caring for these assets requires a systematic and comprehensive approach. As I know you've heard from us before in this committee, DNR assets are diverse and unlike many other state assets. This slide depicts the variety of types of assets and the numbers of each of those. And I think it's important to recognize that these assets represent more than just built things or land. They represent experiences for Minnesotans. For example, we can talk about the State Park Campground or Camper Cabin, where Minnesotans spend time with their family and friends around a fire, under the stars and the fresh air. We could talk about the public fishing pier, where a kid catches their first fish, and the fish hatchery, where those fish are raised for stocking. We could talk about
And Commissioner, we visited that fish hatchery, and it definitely needs improvement.
It definitely needs improvement. And you saw that while we managed to raise fish for stocking there, we cannot have kids come in and learn about the work we do there because of the safety issues. And then these assets also include DNR offices, where people can come to buy their fishing license, submit their permit applications, or get information about natural resource opportunities in their community, and many, many more. In addition to the diverse asset types, our assets are extensive and geographically dispersed across all 87 counties and across 5.6 million acres of land. Our built assets have a current replacement value of $4.36 billion. It's a significant investment for the state. And so stewardship of these assets requires ongoing repair and renovation as well as replacement. As you have also heard from us, year after year, we do have a growing deferred maintenance challenge. The number, variety, condition, and age of DNR facilities all contribute to a significant capital need for asset preservation. Our asset preservation appropriations are shown on the slide, but the blue line at the bottom, they have been far short of what it is needed to address that deferred maintenance backlog, which is shown by the green bars and are increasing over time. So I do just want to talk about what we're doing to address this challenge, in addition to sitting before you here today talking about our need for capital asset investment. We also recognize that the investment needs significantly exceed what is realistically achievable through available funding. And so we are looking at additional strategies needed to reduce that need. And those strategies that we are using include planning for historic buildings, asset management, and we recognize that these historic buildings across DNR lands are highly valued by the public, yet we also realize they are extraordinarily expensive to operate and maintain. So this plan will evaluate, prioritize, and identify strategies for addressing that significant investment in those structures. We're also putting more emphasis on leasing opportunities when offices and storage buildings in poor condition must be significantly refurbished or are at the end of their life. In other words, in some cases, we can reduce our portfolio by moving to a lease if that is an option. And then lastly, we are looking at divestment. And we maintain a list of priority divestments, and we complete those projects when funds are available, particularly when demolition is involved. I do want to note that we are incredibly appreciative of the capital investment appropriations that DNR receives, and we are putting those investments to great use. For example, in 2025, we spent nearly $9.6 million in natural resource asset preservation. This spanned appropriation dollars from 2018, 19, 20, 23, and 25. Our 2025 NRAP report was provided to the committee, so you have that. It lists the specific projects with expenditures in 2025, and some of the examples from that are on the slide here. I'll note that while these projects will decrease deferred maintenance for each specific asset, without consistent and adequate funding, the total deferred maintenance will continue to trend upward. So we'll talk a little bit more about the 2025 NRAP appropriation next. This slide presents the overview of the 2025 NRAP allocation. You do have a detailed spreadsheet with specific projects in your committee packet as well. And it's our hope that this allocation looks familiar to you, because we did start with the $35 million list that was provided to this committee during the course of the 2025 session. We then adjusted the list to match the actual appropriation amount to reflect updated project costs, current agency priorities, as well as a construction contingency. We also just want to note and spend a little bit of time talking about the kind of project life cycle for capital investment projects from the time we receive an appropriation to the time construction is complete. As you can imagine, we receive the appropriation, we develop that final allocation plan that I was just describing for 2025. Then the projects need to be designed. We need to conduct permitting or any other resource reviews. Projects are then put out to bid, and then construction obviously is at the end of that. And so I'll just note that the majority of spending on our infrastructure projects take place in years 3 or 4 after that appropriation, and so there is built into that process a time lag. The least amount of spending is in year 1, and more is in those years 3 and 4. So I'll shift now to our 2026 proposal. In developing the 2026 proposal, we used our standardized framework based on our 10-year capital asset need report. And I believe the committee is familiar with this report and with our approach. Through this need report, we are continually assessing our assets to identify our need. Our deferred maintenance, frankly, is too large to address all at once, so our request reflects a 10-year approach as detailed in that report. We work across DNR programs and disciplines to identify the highest priority renewal and replacement projects and new investments based on enterprise and agency strategic direction and priorities. We also know that just given the size and the scope of DNR's capital asset portfolio, it's really necessary that we strike a balance between system-wide and programmatic investments and targeted or project investments. And so we operate, as you know, primarily programmatically rather than project by project. And the reasons for that become evident, for example, when you think about the number of buildings we have. We have 2,800 buildings with 30,000 building components. We would be here in front of you for weeks if we were asking for every single roof, every single HVAC system, every single road mile. That just isn't an efficient way to do business. We also know that because of the number of projects we have, sometimes you hit a snag with one of those, and we can set that one aside and move to another high priority project, which keeps the money flowing and keeps us more efficient and effective. And as I've said before, it also helps us prioritize system-wide, not just for one location, one type of asset, or one division. And as I said, then there are areas where we need to bring focused attention or resources to specific projects to meet the changing needs of Minnesotans and to advance certain strategic objectives. So you will see, we'll talk a little bit about our project-based aviation infrastructure ask, our project-based accessibility ask. And then, of course, we have community assistance grant programs that are really important for working with and supporting local partners across the state. So in 2026, natural resources asset preservation remains our top capital investment priority, and the governor has proposed $30 million for the repair, renovation, or replacement of degraded or failing infrastructure. The NRAP infrastructure categories are those that you see listed on the slide. And these investments ensure that our infrastructure is safe and functional for the public, that it supports the conservation of Minnesota's natural resources, and preserves the investment that the state has in those capital assets. I'll also note that as we do this work, we do consider design factors such as accessibility, energy efficiency, climate resiliency. And the photos that you see here on the slide just demonstrate some of the examples of types of asset preservation needs across the state. So the top left is the Brightsdale footbridge in the R.J. Dorr State Forest. You can see pretty clearly the condition of that bridge is poor. It is currently closed for safety reasons as the abutments are failing and sliding down the hillside. This bridge needs to be replaced. On the top right, you'll see in-progress photo of the Forestville Campground septic field replacement. This drain field that services the campground shower building, it was at the end of its useful life and needed replacement. So this project is now complete, but without this drain field, we cannot operate that campground for Minnesotans. And then at the bottom center picture, it shows a cold storage pole barn at Lac Qui Parle Wildlife Management Area. That building stores our tractors and other essential equipment for managing those lands. As you can see in this photo, that building suffered severe storm damage in 2023, and we had to replace that building in 2025. It was clearly no longer suitable to store that equipment. Again, these are just a few examples of the unique and varied asset preservation needs with DNR. Next, the governor proposes $3 million for the Betterment of Building program. In 2026, our top priorities for funding are depicted on this slide. And I'll just note that Betterment of Buildings is a really important complement to the NRAP funding, which focuses on deferred maintenance. This focuses on substantial improvement, addition to, or replacement of buildings. And so both are critical to our work. Capital funding for public lands is also needed to improve and conserve Minnesota's natural heritage and enrich public outdoor recreational opportunities. The governor is proposing $2 million for acquisition and betterment of public lands. At this $2 million, the funding would most likely go entirely to reforestation on public lands.
Commissioner, I just want to interrupt you for a minute and go back to betterment of buildings. So I know that the new St. Paul Fish Hatchery has been on the list for a while, and we've been focusing on the tree nursery in Medora, I think it is, which we've also visited. So this just includes design of a new St. Paul Fish Hatchery. So is there any more thought about, would it be in the existing site, or you don't know, or do we know how much a new fish hatchery would cost short of doing the design work?
Chair Pappas, members of the committee, that's a great question. We are actually in the process of completing a feasibility study for that Metro Fish Hatchery. So that is the study that will give us the answers about, do we stay in its current location? Might we look at another location? What do we think the costs are going to be? But just based on the timing of when we expect those answers to be complete, we do want to place a priority on the pre-design and design for that hatchery as well, with those betterment of building dollars.
And what portion of that $3 million would that involve? Do we know? Because you've got 4 different projects here listed. Or these are just examples, right?
Yeah, so Chair Pappas, Sam is telling me the full $3 million would be occupied for that.
For the fish hatchery.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you for that question. So we'll talk a little bit about our public safety needs. Obviously, DNR has a very important role in helping keep Minnesotans safe in a variety of ways. One of those is through our aviation infrastructure, and so as well as our dam safety and flood hazard mitigation. So the governor has proposed dollars in all 3 of these areas. The aviation infrastructure is for the Brainerd Airport. It is for Wildfire and Emergency Operations Center. Funding would be used for facilities that accommodate daily fire briefings, emergency dispatch, crew readiness, and pilot rest areas, an air tanker loading facility, and emergency equipment storage. These, again, investments very important for our wildfire surveillance and suppression, as well as response for floods, windstorms, winter storms, as well as search and rescue efforts. Our dam safety program is critical for maintaining the structural integrity of dams, preventing public safety hazards, and maintaining water levels on rivers and lakes. Funding here is recommended at $10 million, and it is allocated to projects per the dam safety priority list.
Commissioner, what's at the top of that priority list?
I was just getting to that.
Oh,
Senator Pappas.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Madam Chair. The top priority on that list is the Rapidan Dam removal. Flood hazard mitigation grants, the governor has recommended $9 million to provide for flood risk reduction. Obviously, there are needs across the state, and that need is growing even more critically in the face of a changing climate. We already have approximately $213 million in project applications from cities, counties, watershed districts, and other public entities. So this request would fund the highest priority projects based on the 9 funding considerations that are detailed in state statute. And again, I'll just, we've provided lists in the past of known priorities at the time. I'll just note that per the statute, there is a competitive application process, and we would allocate dollars that are appropriated consistent with that process outlined in 103F 161. And then finally, outdoor recreation and accessibility go hand in hand and are essential to better serving Minnesotans. We're requesting $2 million to continue our efforts to develop comprehensive accessibility at state parks, wildlife management areas, and aquatic management areas. Again, our goal is not simply to meet code, but to create comprehensive experiences that are welcoming and open to all Minnesotans. We work closely with the Minnesota Council on Disability in this work, and If you have not visited the newly opened day use area at William O'Brien State Park, it is a great example of what we mean by those comprehensive improvements included in that day use area, from the picnic grounds to accessible kayak launch to accessible trails. And then last but not least, we have a $1 million request for the local and regional grant programs. These are very important programs that allow DNR to partner with local communities to acquire land, develop parks and trails that help create a network of close-to-home recreation facilities. DNR has its niche, but so do local communities. And we know there is ongoing need for assistance to those communities with their smaller projects. So in summary, Madam Chair and committee members, the governor's 2026 bonding proposal for DNR will help us maintain and preserve essential natural resources infrastructure that benefits Minnesotans all across the state. Our proposal focuses on taking care of what we have while advancing some key strategic priorities to serve both current and future generations. And we appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and we are happy to take any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all this information. Very good bedtime reading, members, to go through the whole report and really get a sense of how extensive DNR is, how many buildings they have, how much responsibility they have throughout the state to make sure that our citizens can recreate and, you know, have kind of safe, clean facilities available to them. So any comments or questions from anyone on the committee? Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to highlight how important some of these DNR assets are for the tourism industry in Minnesota and for attracting people to come to our state, whether it's investments in our state parks, public water accesses, fish hatcheries so people can catch their walleye limit up in Otter Tail County. All those investments really are the welcome mat that we have for the state of Minnesota. And it's remarkable in the area that I represent how often I'll run into people who moved to our area or stayed in our area because of the natural resources, and ensuring that we're taking care of what we have is really important. So I appreciate the commissioner's work on caring for the many assets that the DNR has, and think we should continue supporting those efforts.
Great, thank you. Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo what Senator Rasmussen just said. And of course, when we're on our bonding tours, as much as I love wastewater and drinking water and stormwater infrastructure, I really enjoy seeing all of the DNR facilities, whether that's
The award-winning bathroom.
Yes, the award-winning bathroom, the fishery, the hatchery, the tree nursery, and of course the parks and the WMAs and the SNAs and all of that. I'm a holder of a state park permit, and Commissioner and I were talking earlier. I was bragging on the fact that I'm a national park passport stamp book holder, so I get my little rubber stamp, and she reminded me that we have the same thing for state parks, so I'm going to start doing that too. And it was encouraging that we somehow more unify, because with the national parks, you know, we have the national monuments and other kinds of places you can visit that are just shy of state parks, and they have the little rubber stamps you can get too, so maybe we can do something similar to encourage people to take advantage of all those outdoor recreation places that we have that aren't state parks, you know, state forests, WMAs, SNAs, et cetera. A lot of fun stuff to do in a lot of places. Would not be doing my job if I didn't sound my refrain that, you know, our state park footprint itself has shrunk in the last number of years, despite legacy funds that people thought were going to go to enhance our state parks, and recognizing fully that the existing state parks we have a lot of wear and tear, and you know, to Senator Rasmussen's point, we need to take care of what we have. But you know, people understand state parks really well. Where the front door is to the outdoors is through, oftentimes through the state parks. So there's that point. And of course, I also need to remind everyone that the metro regional parks are the metro areas, you know, serve effectively as the state parks, and they receive 10 times more visitors than the entirety of the state park system combined, including probably more people from greater Minnesota visit our metro regional parks and even visit the state parks. So in this conversation about outdoor opportunities, you know, the state has, you know, a statutory commitment, an ongoing commitment to support our metro regional parks, both the capital and operating, but particularly around operating, by, you know, committed to support 40% of its operating budget, and only supports 9% of its budget. And we see very little by way of initiative in terms of capital effort as proposed by the governor for the metro park. So we'll continue this conversation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
At one point, when my children were young, we had talked about visiting every state park. I don't think we quite made it. So I think I have now. When people ask me what I'm going to do in retirement, I can say, well, I'm going to finish visiting all the state parks. And I can add the regional parks to that as well. Right. Any more comments from anyone? Thank you so much, Commissioner. And it's lovely to see you on the tours, but we know we can always see Sam, that she's always there to host us. And thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee members.
Okay, next we have Chancellor Olson and Brian Swanson with the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. Welcome.
Thank you,
Great
Chair
to
Pappas.
see you, Chancellor.
Good to see you.
Brian.
Thank you, Chair Pappas. Thank you, members of the committee, for your service to Minnesota. Thanks for allowing us to come here and talk to you today. I'm Scott Olson. I'm the Chancellor of Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, of which there are many. And Senator Pappas, if you would like to visit any of our 54 campuses in retirement, we would love to have you come visit too. Today, my colleague Brian Swanson and I will provide an overview of the bonding request that our Board of Trustees is putting before this committee. Thank you so much for your support in the past. During the past legislative session, you invested $84 million in our colleges and university infrastructure. $60 million of it was in asset preservation, supporting 17 of our campuses, which kept our students and our employees safe, warm, and dry. And the HEAPR report is, I think, before you, so you can study exactly how your money was spent. The investments you make are transformational for our students, our faculty, and staff. The infrastructure needs of our campuses are real, and they impact our ability to recruit and retain students and faculty, and in that way, prepare Minnesota's future workforce. I want to thank you for the time your committee and your staff have invested in viewing projects across the state, and for all the campuses you were able to visit. As you know, your colleges and universities have pressing needs, and we're committed first and foremost to taking care of what we have. That's why our board's #1 request is $200 million for HEAPR. The governor has recommended $74.8 million in HEAPR for Minnesota State. We're grateful to the governor for this proposal. However, please know that even at our $200 million HEAPR funding level, the campus's overall HEAPR backlog is at $1.73 billion. Minnesota State has 495 buildings that are over 40 years old. This represents 53% of our buildings and 68% of our square footage. The 4 projects in our current request before you previously received design funding from the legislature and are ready for construction. That's how they came to be on the list. Associate Vice Chancellor Swanson will provide more details about these 4 projects. The board has also put forward a request for $25 million for demolition. This request is for cash, and if funded, would remove outdated buildings and reduce the long-term operating and maintenance costs on the campuses, along with improving campus safety and appearance. Taking these buildings offline would focus future investments on high-impact, high-use facilities and support our sustainability goals by eliminating energy inefficient structures. Finally, we're asking for $13.5 million for the Learning Environment System-Wide Project Plan that, if fully funded, would upgrade and renovate 11 projects across the state. That list of 11 projects is in your packet. Investing in these smaller projects would provide students with access to state-of-the-art learning environments in high-demand programs. These upgrades include simulation labs, workshops and equipment, applied clinical learning spaces, industry certification and testing centers, and applied teaching laboratories. Chair Pappas, thank you again for your support of Minnesota State. With your permission, I would like to turn the presentation over to Associate Vice Chancellor Brian Swanson.
Welcome, Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, Chair Pappas. Good afternoon. My name is Brian Swanson. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for Facilities for Minnesota State Colleges and University. We don't have a PowerPoint for you today. Instead, we're going to walk through the hot-off-the-press Minnesota State bonding book, which is a New York Times bestseller in the making if there ever was one. Your deluxe legislator edition comes with a supplemental handout, which I'm sure will be handy for your book club discussions of our request. Since you're familiar with the Minnesota State and the Chancellor stole all my major talking points, we're going to jump right to page 6 in the book, which is titled About the Capital Budget. So Minnesota has a history of making higher education convenient and available to all. The state universities, the community colleges, and the technical colleges grew up as 3 separate uncoordinated systems. Higher education within 50 miles of everyone in Minnesota was the goal in the 1960s. And the outcome of this idea of making higher education available locally has been what you see on this slide. 28.5 million square feet of space, over 843 structures on 54 campuses. I might be on page 4.
So, Mr. Swanson, what year was that, the merger? Roger Moe did that, I remember, and it might have been right before me.
I think
Before I
it was
came in.
1995.
30 years ago.
What was it?
30 years ago.
1995.
1995? Oh, was that? That's pretty recent. Right. So I was definitely in the Senate when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, sorry, proceed.
All right. So our challenge, as you can see in the approaching middle age graph, which we could relabel the sliding less than gracefully past middle age graph, illustrates our problem well. The majority of our buildings and infrastructure are at the 50-year mark, a critical renewal point in the life of a building. Original systems have largely met or exceeded their useful life. Interestingly enough, in that window in the 1960s and 1970s, higher ed was receiving about 90% of the bonding bill in any given year. So that's just the level of investment the state put into the system at that time. So all those buildings are coming due now at the same time. Page 6, Minnesota State colleges and universities are at this point quite simply overbuilt for our current and foreseeable needs. We need different space. We need better space. We do not need more space. What we need is your help in renewing, replacing, modernizing, and demolishing space. Since 2020, we have kept the growth of our academic space flat, and our 2026 request continues Minnesota State's no net growth approach to facilities. The projects on page 7 should look familiar because you've seen all of them before in one form or another. The major changes to the request since last session, lines 2 through 5, we've increased for inflation using Minnesota Management and Budget's inflation escalator, and the demolition and learning environments that the Chancellor spoke about were previously included in our operating budget, but we've included them here for the capital budget as well. Turning to page 8, we start with HEAPR. I think you're all familiar with it, but it's the legislatively created program set up in the early 1990s. It has some very strict rules around how the funding can be used. It's the most important bond funding you give us, but it also seems to be the first that gets cut every time in the bonding bill development. The projects are not glamorous, but they are incredibly important. This funding renews building envelopes, the roofs and the windows, replaces plumbing, electrical, heating, cooling, and ventilation systems, resolves building code and accessibility deficiency, improves energy efficiency, and upgrades utility infrastructure. Making these kinds of improvements early makes buildings last longer and reduces the need for whole buildings to be replaced. Without a regular and sufficient allocation of HEAPR funding, it's only a matter of time until we have a building fail. Page 10 shows the highest priority projects for each campus, and we have in your supplemental packet a detailed list of our $200 million request. Page 12 starts with our 4 standalone projects, which you funded for design in 2023. The first of these is the St. Paul College Student Services and Classroom Project, which will renovate over 100,000 square feet and demolish 13. The space was originally built in the 1960s by the St. Paul Public Schools. The technical colleges came out of the public schools, or in many cases. The building's held up well and it's been well maintained, but it's functionally obsolete. The project will consolidate student services into a one-stop center. The project repurposes old classrooms into new learning hubs, bringing together faculty, peer mentoring, student gathering, and classrooms for each of the campus's 4 program areas. And the project eliminates an obsolete old theater and a number of underused computer labs. The second project on this spread is Armstrong Hall at Minnesota State University Mankato. Armstrong Hall is the kind of cinder block bunker of a classroom building that could only be the product of the 1960s. And worse than the fact that it's functionally obsolete and ugly, it's falling apart. A 2018 estimate for fixing it at that time was well over $55 million, which would have been both logistically impossible and still left the campus with an obsolete building. The plan here before you is to build a new, smaller building with the kind and size of classrooms the campus needs today. For those of you that have toured the building and have seen the corroded pipes and the spalling concrete, you have firsthand experience with the challenges we face. Armstrong Hall is a highly productive building generating an enormous number of in-person student contact hours, but it's quickly reaching the end of its useful life.
So, Mr. Swanson, Armstrong Hall is still being used?
It is still being used.
Okay.
Page 14, we have the Center for Interdisciplinary Collaboration, Engagement, and Learning at Winona State. This new building replaces 2 obsolete 1964 classroom buildings, Gildemeister and Watkins Hall, with one new, smaller, energy-efficient building. The building will support programs in math, computer science, art, and design. The floor-to-floor height in the 2 existing buildings limits flexibility. The mechanical systems are at the end of their life. There's no fire sprinklers. The electrical system is original to the 1960s, and the restrooms are not ADA compliant. Here again, it makes more sense to build one smaller new building to invest in 2 existing obsolete buildings. Lastly, the Heinz Center renovation at Rochester Community and Technical College will serve a number of high-demand career and technical education programs that are in high demand in the Rochester local economy, including facility service technology, law enforcement, computer-aided design, and welding. The renovation will co-locate programs for efficiency, provide new classrooms and laboratories to meet the needs of the specific programs, and to open up visibility to the programs with the goal of exposing more students to and encouraging them to consider programs they might not have otherwise considered. Finally, on page 16, we get to demolition and learning environments. Demolition funding is quite honestly the best money you can send us. There are no future spending tails. Demolition reduces deferred maintenance, it reduces energy consumption, it saves operating costs, and it reduces our carbon footprint. It's a quadruple win. The $25 million we have requested will target 16 buildings, totaling about 500,000 square feet of space, but we've identified 1.3 million square feet of space that we could get rid of if we had enough money. For context, removing 500,000 gross square feet of space is the equivalent to closing and eliminating our 6 smallest campuses, and removing 1.3 million gross square feet of space is the equivalent of closing and eliminating 13 campuses. The detailed list of the demolition candidates are included in your packet. And lastly, we have the learning environments request. This request is for funding for a series of smaller, targeted academic and remodels in buildings we intend to keep. The 11 projects were selected through an internal RFP process, and the projects are focused on improving spaces for high-cost, high-need, workforce-oriented programs around the state of Minnesota. And again, a detailed list of projects is included in your packet. And that concludes our presentation on the 2026 request. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was excellent and really helpful, and really, we know how important it is. And just, members, we just, we can't address these needs with, without doing bonding bills every year and doing them at a higher number. So any questions, comments from anyone on the committee? Right. I actually really like that last project you talked about, because I think really meeting the needs of the students with these kinds of updating these programs should really be a priority of how we really want to address the needs of the students. I also had a question about, so you need cash for the system-wide demolition, which is in short supply these days. Except I believe you can use bonding dollars if it's connected to the construction of a new building. Is that correct? Yeah, our Senate Council is nodding her head. So, you know, if you were going to tear down Armstrong Hall, then the demolition is included in that cost, I'm assuming. And if you're going to tear down the other two buildings at Winona,
Correct.
the demolition is included in that cost. Great. Okay. Anybody else? All right, Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did I hear that we're going to have a little passport created and we can get our little stamps when we visit each of the 54?
Chair Pappas, Senator Dibble, I think that's a great idea.
All right.
And if DNR can do it, we can do it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how many of these campuses I've actually seen. Good chunk of them on our trips, and you feed us very well. So
I would be surprised if I haven't visited every campus, you know, over the years.
probably have.
Yeah, probably have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted to express support. I, of course, represent MCTC. I think we call it Minneapolis College now. It'll always be MCTC to me. And we've made a number of capital improvements to that campus, which have just transformed the campus over the years. It used to be, I mean, brutalist is kind. I mean, it was horrible, just hostile and hot, and uncomfortable and unpleasant. And it's just made a big, big difference in the student experience. It's an amazing campus. So I appreciated the advocacy of the system and the successful capital projects we've done there, and some of these that I see look equally as transformative to the campuses that we've visited and we talked about today. Very, very important investment. Thanks.
Great. Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Madam President. And did I say Madam President? Oh, Madam Chair.
Madam
Kind of a
ex-president.
Ex-President, yes, exactly.
Once a president, always a president.
I'm with you there. Once a chair, always a chair, right? Thank you so much for the presentation. I just want to speak broadly to the Minn State in general, and then of course I want to speak specifically to one of our campuses. I just am so appreciative of Minn State, and it's really the workhorse of preparing our workforce. And I appreciate the nimbleness at which sometimes you can move to develop those programs that are in need today. Maybe we have certain needs today that were different, well, we certainly do, than 10 years ago. And we really count on you to provide that much needed job preparation and education for the needs of today and tomorrow. And I think you've done a great job of that. I also want to mention the Rochester Community and Technical College. You know, there is such a vast need for jobs there. And my experience has been not only do they train for those jobs that exist now and tomorrow, but the placement rate has been phenomenal. And so we are very hopeful that we will see this bonding project at the Heinz Center move forward, because members, the need is great there. The need is great there. We have so many openings, whether it be in healthcare or education. Those are just two of the large areas in our district. Automotive, we're just really looking forward to that. And I also want to thank you for your longtime dedication to not increase the footprint. I think that is very responsible and resourceful, and I applaud you for that. Thank you.
Chancellor.
Well, Chair Pappas, Senator Nelson, I think maybe 2 years ago, we were sitting here and we were talking about the need for dental programs. And it was so fun to be at RCTC to cut the ribbon on that beautiful dental lab now. And I would just point out that was done, you know, through public-private partnership, and Delta Dental gave us a very nice gift that helped us do that. So we'll keep investing in Rochester, and we'll keep investing across Minnesota.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the Chancellor. One of the concerns that I have when I look at higher education in Minnesota and across the country is as we see more students transitioning to online learning options, I have concerns around rigor and are students obtaining a high quality education, or are they obtaining a piece of paper, right, or a certification? So, Madam Chair, my question for the Chancellor is, what would his assessment be on the rigor of the Minnesota state system? How has that changed over the last decade? How would he score the system on that?
Chancellor Olson.
Chair Pappas, Senator Rasmussen, I would give us high marks on that. I can't tell you that every class every time has the same rigor as every other class. But our students tell us that the online classes, certainly the synchronous ones, the ones where folks are together, are of very high rigor and quality. Some of the things we do up at M-State, you can't do them online, which is why we have these capital requests. There's some things like becoming a dental hygienist or assistant, like being a welder or a plumber. You have to have a lab. You have to physically be there in Fergus Falls or wherever it may be to do that. But I believe that online classes can have very high rigor and do, and we have mechanisms in place that if they don't, to ensure that that rigor is restored.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A follow-up question for the Chancellor. So what are those metrics? How do you track rigor, and how do you know if you're doing well? How do you know if you're not doing well?
Chancellor Olson.
Chair Pappas, Senator Rasmussen, there are numerous things in how faculty are evaluated. One of them is at the end of every term, students in the class are given the opportunity to provide feedback on that class, which is taken quite seriously by the deans and the provosts of those campuses to ensure that the students are saying, this was a good class, I learned something, the teaching was of high quality. If faculty are seeking ongoing employment, they're subject to various kinds of reviews. It's a little different at the colleges than at the universities, where they have to go through considerable rigor. At the universities, they have to submit portfolios with all of the syllabi for all of their classes, with examples of student work that has been achieved, with those reviews of teaching that the students do. At the colleges, deans often go and sit in the class, whether it's online or in person, and observe themselves the quality of it. And really for us, the quality of the teaching is the main thing. Our faculty do research, but the main thing is they teach. And so that's the most important thing for us, and that's why we want to have a high bar for it.
Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just, I would say this is perhaps anecdotal, but some of the feedback that I hear is, especially as we have moved to more online and more online PSEO in particular, just getting questions from folks on the rigor of those classes. And if the rigor is not calibrated correctly, you'll actually have a selection mechanism within high schools where students will be selecting for PSEO classes that they can finish more quickly and are perhaps less rigorous than what they would get in an in-person setting. And so those are just some of the concerns I have as higher education has effectively a student shortage, right? There's probably never been more competition for students that are looking to go to a community college, looking to go to a four-year school. And I just worry about, with Minnesota State and with higher education more broadly, is lowering rigor kind of a means of competition, a means of being able to try to get more students in the door. So those are some of the questions and things I'll be thinking about here this session. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Chancellor.
Chair Pappas, Senator Rasmussen, thank you for that. I'd love to hear those anecdotes maybe offline. PSEO and concurrent enrollment, college in the school is probably a whole nother hearing that we could have. There's no institutional goal of in any way lowering rigor to increase enrollment. Our enrollment's up anyway. We've had 6 straight semesters of significant enrollment growth. So in an individual class at an individual time, might a professor change the standards. I suppose that's possible, but I'd love to hear those stories, because that's not a goal. Thank you.
Any other questions? Then just one more trip down memory lane. So Chancellor, you were the president at Winona State. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you were, I'm trying to remember if you were there. We did fund a building there. Was it the Student Center that we did at Winona State? Do you remember?
Chair Pappas, so our student centers at our universities are funded through the revenue fund typically.
Okay.
So I think what you're remembering was a particularly persistent project brought forth by Senator Miller and Representative Pulowski called the Education Village. And it was taking some old abandoned buildings that had been part of the Cotter school system and modernizing them and updating them, and they have become kind of a village within the university and a beloved institution in Greater Winona. So that's probably what you're remembering.
Okay. Thank you.
It was a big one, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it. Last on our agenda, we'd like to invite Assistant Commissioner Hassemer forward. I just lost all their handouts here. They are. And we have a number of reports from MMB. Oh, that's natural resources. Oh, here they are. Right. Right. We get an hour, so we're good. Assistant Commissioner Hassemer, it's good to see you in person. So it seems like we do a lot of Zoom meetings.
Indeed. Good afternoon, Chair Pappas and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Jennifer Hassemer, Assistant Commissioner at Minnesota Management and Budget. And I am pleased to present today on the state's debt guidelines and debt capacity, as well as on the cancellation report. But before digging into the debt guidelines, what I wanted to share with you first is a quick update on the bond market. This graph shows the movement in bond interest rates over the last 5 years. And you can see that rates have risen from the historical lows that we had about 5 years ago, with some periods of volatility, with some slight decline over the last 6 months. MMB last sold bonds for the state back in September and received rates of 3.6%. And I'm happy to report that the rating agencies all reaffirmed the state's AAA credit ratings as part of their review process at the time. And although the state is always subject to current market rates whenever we sell bonds, those strong credit ratings, which are the highest possible credit ratings, always provide some protection by helping keep the state's borrowing rates low and keeping the costs low on the state budget. Turning to the debt guidelines, this slide provides a framework about why the state maintains these policies and have maintained these policies since the late 1970s. Debt guidelines exist to help the state balance today's capital needs with future fiscal capacity in a way that preserves flexibility, affordability, and long-term financial strength. Because borrowing represents fixed long-term financial commitments, high debt burdens can reduce budget flexibility during times of fiscal stress. The guidelines don't prescribe any single level of borrowing for any given year, but their forward-looking approach supports ongoing capital planning, and the guideline limits establish responsible guardrails, supporting resilience across economic cycles. Most importantly, consistent adherence to debt guidelines demonstrates good governance and strengthens the confidence among our investors and the rating agencies, further lending support to the state's high credit quality. Over the last several months, MNB undertook a technical review of the state's debt guidelines, and we recently published our updates that you have in your materials today. The purpose of this review was not to loosen standards or to expand borrowing, but to make sure that Minnesota's guidelines remain transparent, credible, and aligned with how the rating agencies and peer states assess debt affordability. We grounded our work in data, peer comparisons, and rating agency methodologies. And the state's strong credit rating is built on consistency and discipline, which we were careful to preserve throughout this process. During the review, we appreciated the opportunity to meet with key legislators and legislative staff and solicit feedback on the data that we were looking at. And as well, we worked with our outside financial advisors who brought national level expertise to our process. Our recently published updates reaffirm the state's core debt metrics and also introduce some policy benchmarks that I'll walk through in some more detail in the coming slides. And those set more realistic and sustainable planning ranges. The updated guidelines remain consistent with how rating agencies measure debt, are inclusive of all of the state's tax-supported debt, and they continue to reflect strong financial management practices supportive of our AAA rating. So this slide shows our debt guidelines, which should look familiar to you. I'll walk through each of them in more detail in the coming slides, but wanted to give a quick overview. Guidelines 1 and 2 are the primary indicators assessing long-term debt capacity compared to the state's resource base. Guideline 3 is a tool for assessing how proposed borrowing interacts with existing debt. There are upper limits established in each guideline, which did not change following our technical review. We did incorporate new planning benchmarks that you can see for guidelines 1 and 2, and incorporated temporary floors as part of guideline 3 that come with an expectation around timing and a return to compliance, which I'll go into more detail in a moment. But first, I wanted to remind you what the debt that we count in these guidelines is. What you see here is a list of all of the tax-supported debt of the state, including all general obligation bonds, state appropriation bonds, other agency bonds supported by state resources, lease purchase financings for real estate and capital equipment, and moral obligation debt. The one type of obligation not counted under our guidelines is self-supporting debt, which is frequently revenue bonds.
Assistant Commissioner, what are certificates of participation then? Where do they fit into this type of debt?
Yeah. Madam Chair, thank you for the question. Certificates of participation are a type of annual appropriation debt. It's just that they have an underlying lease purchase agreement that's connected with them.
So it's a little bit like revenue bonds, but not. Because don't revenue bonds have a payment in place for them?
They are slightly different security structures with revenue bonds, Madam Chair. There's usually a distinct suite of fees or revenues that are supporting the debt. For certificates of participation, it's most often just a standing appropriation from the general fund.
Okay.
So then going on to guideline number 1, this measures debt capacity compared to the state's resource base. With total outstanding principal for tax-supported debt shall not exceed 3.25% of state personal income, with a planning benchmark of 2.5%. In the February debt capacity forecast, the current measure is 1.83%, which is below both the planning benchmark and the upper limit. The planning benchmark serves to indicate a more realistic and sustainable planning range and will serve as an early warning indicator when this debt measure starts to tighten. The debt measured in this guideline is all state general obligation debt, appropriation bonds, certificates of participation, and real estate lease purchase financings, and other state-supported debt issued by other entities such as the University of Minnesota and Housing Finance Agency. For guideline number 2, this says that total authorized principal for tax-supported debt shall not exceed 6% of state personal income, with a planning benchmark of 5.25%. This guideline provides transparency around all commitments that have been passed into law. So it counts debt that has been sold as well as debt that has been authorized but will be sold in the coming years. In the February debt capacity forecast, this measure was 3.46% of state personal income, which is also below both the planning benchmark and the upper limit. Again, the planning benchmark here sets a more realistic planning range and will serve as an early warning indicator for tightening debt ratios. The debt measured by this guideline is everything that's counted under guideline number 1, including the authorized but unissued debt that will be sold in the coming years, plus state moral obligations and lease purchase financing for equipment. Finally, guideline number 3 guides structuring decisions and promotes the timely recognition of debt service costs by ensuring the state pays off its general obligation debt quickly. Under this measure, at least 40% of state GO bonds must mature within 5 years and 70% within 10 years. With new temporary time-bound floors of 38% and 68% to account for temporary fluctuations in issuance patterns or authorization timing. During our review, we continued to see that rating agencies value the rapid repayment of debt, which helps preserve both long-term budget flexibility as well as borrowing capacity for future legislatures. In practice, MMB expects to maintain compliance with this guideline by issuing GO debt with level principal payments. But as we've seen, this guideline remains sensitive to timing considerations, such as gaps between new bonding authorizations and then larger catch-up bills. The floors introduce a degree of flexibility to account for these unique timing considerations. The core thresholds and MMB's expected practices around structuring are not changing. The temporary floors permit short-term deviations from the 40% and 70% limits, with an expectation that full compliance will be restored within the 6-year planning horizon that statute requires the debt capacity forecast to reflect. As shown in the February debt capacity forecast, the state is in compliance with Guideline 3, with over 42% of GO debt scheduled to mature within 5 years and more than 72% scheduled to mature within 10 years. This graph shows how the state has measured under Guidelines 1 and 2 over the last 10 years. And what you can see is the state has maintained compliance and has been under the thresholds, the upper limits, throughout this time period. Pivoting to debt capacity, the debt guidelines that I just walked through reflect just a single point in time. As you know, when bonds are first authorized by the legislature, they are not all sold at once. Instead, MMB sells the bonds over a period of years to meet the anticipated cash flow needs of the projects. When bonds are first authorized, they first appear in Guideline 2, and once bonds are sold, they also appear in Guideline 1. These point-in-time measures do not reflect projections about how big future bonding bills can be. And before moving into the capacity conversation further, I just wanted to note that one difference in our forecast from last year is that the 2025 legislature directed MMB to remove assumptions about future bonding bills from the forecast. So now the size of any bonding bill will shift to conversations with the legislature and become part of negotiations around global budget targets. So to walk you through the information that we publish in our debt capacity forecast, which gets published in conjunction with the budget and economic forecast twice a year, which you should have a copy in your materials today. We just published last week. It contains information that is helpful for decision makers as you decide how much borrowing to undertake. The report includes a current statement of indebtedness, annual debt service costs, and borrowing capacity for the next 6 fiscal years. The table on this slide reflects the current statement of indebtedness, with about $8.5 billion of tax-supported debt currently outstanding. This includes $4.5 billion of general fund supported GO debt, $2.5 billion of trunk highway GO debt, and $1.4 billion of annual appropriation debt. Additionally, in that far column to the right, you can see that there is another $2.3 billion of debt that has been authorized but remains unsold and that we plan on selling in the coming years. The graph here is an illustration of that same statement of indebtedness, so you can see how the debt performs over time. The dark blue bars on this graph represent debt that is outstanding today, so you can see the roughly $8.5 billion and how that will be paid down over the coming years. The light green bars represent debt that the legislature has authorized and that we expect to sell over the coming years. What this chart doesn't reflect is how future borrowing layers on to this debt portfolio, which, when passed, would be added on top of each of the bars on this graph. As I mentioned earlier, the debt guidelines do not prescribe any single level of borrowing for any given year. Within the debt capacity forecast, MMB models the outer boundaries under each guideline. And because the guidelines measure debt differently, the outer bounds can vary based on each measure. Under current assumptions for 2026, guidelines 1 and 2 could permit $4 billion of new bonding based on state personal income. And guideline 3 would permit $1.2 billion of new bonding under a level principal structure and within the limits of 40% and 70% payoff ratios. We do have some assumptions baked in about future debt as well, and while there is some flexibility for higher bonding amounts this year, using that flexibility will involve trade-offs for future capacity as well. We've published some more detail on the tables and some of the numbers used in these figures here in the debt capacity forecast that you can refer to for additional information. This chart shows how Minnesota ranks compared to all 50 states on the measure of outstanding debt to personal income. As reflected in this comparative view, you can see Minnesota is in the middle of the pack, and that's consistent with the rating agency's consistent assessment that Minnesota maintains a moderate level of debt. So, Madam Chair, that concludes the debt capacity presentation. I do have just one slide on the cancellation report. I could walk through that quickly now and then take questions or pause here.
Commissioner, let's just take questions first on the debt capacity report. I do appreciate the work that you did on Guideline 3, and although, you know, my assumption is the legislature will abide by the strict Guideline 3, having the flexibility just means that if there's some kind of an emergency, we're not faced with having to fight MMP over that when, you know, maybe we drop for just a few years below the guideline or below the guideline it would be. So I do appreciate that. I think it gives us, you know, enough flexibility to be able to consider that. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the Assistant Commissioner. Why 38% and 68%? Just trying to understand the rationale for those numbers and why they aren't higher, why they aren't lower.
Commissioner.
Yeah. Madam Chair, Senator Rasmussen, great question. The 38% and 68% were developed based on some modeling that we did and some scenario analysis. We modeled some different large authorization sizes and tried to assess what degree of flexibility could be permitted by these proposed floors, by the formerly proposed floors and now implemented floors, that would still also permit the state to regain compliance within the 6-year planning horizon. So based on the modeling that we did internally, it was actually somewhat difficult. We dropped below 39% and 69% by a bit, not drastically, but it seemed that to have a clean kind of threshold at the bottom, we set the planning floors at the 38% and 68%.
And also we ran into this strange aberration that if we skipped a year, it actually hurt us in terms of our ability to borrow to make up for that year. So that was another problem with the third guideline. And if you remember Senator Rasmussen, Senator Housley, during our negotiations last year, they came up with the different scenarios. Like we could have borrowed 1.5 last year, but then, you know, nothing this year. And we decided on the 700 million and then the 1.2 this year. But you know, being able to drop below that might mean that we could do another couple $100 million if there was kind of some emergency that needed to be addressed. Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Assistant Commissioner. I'm not going to try to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to just maybe play back what I'm hearing, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong in terms of my understanding of the logic behind the 38% and the 68%. What I'm kind of hearing is you still believe Guideline 3 is important, the 40% matured within 5 years and 70% within 10 years. That's still important. That's still what you're recommending the guideline to be. However, MMB is okay with us violating the guideline for up to 6 years. And basically the temporary, the 38% and the 68%, if we model it out, that allows us to be out of compliance with guideline 3 for 6 years, but then get back into compliance. Is that, or would you like to recharacterize that or say if I'm repeating that incorrectly?
Commissioner Hassemer.
Sure, Madam Chair, Senator Rasmussen. I might tweak it just a little bit, but yes, we do still value what Guideline 3 is communicating, and that's reflected by the fact that we didn't actually change the policy. The limits have stayed the 40% and the 70% that you've seen in the previous years. The new planning, the new floors, it would no longer be a violation of that policy if we needed to take advantage of that flexibility for a short period of time now going forward. And it really reflects that there would otherwise be a trade-off given the math problems that Chair Pappas referenced from having a missed bonding bill in 1 year and how the math unfortunately shook out last year. The trade-off would be if we were faced with a situation again where it was difficult to maintain strict compliance with 40% and 70%, but it was just a dip and then a recovery that we could see in our planning horizon, that provides an ability for MMB to continue to structure the debt with level principal, and that wouldn't come with a budgetary impact then. If we took the alternative route of changing the structure of our debt to maintain the strict compliance with 40 and 70, then we might need to move some debt service costs into the early years, and that has a budget impact to it. So at least now with the revised guideline, we have some policy tools at our disposal.
And Senator Rasmussen, if you recall the chart, sometimes it was a dip of down to 39% for just a year or two. It wasn't even that 6-year horizon. So, Senator Rasmussen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Assistant Commissioner. What would prevent the legislature and MMB from kind of continuing to move out this 6-year window and say, well, we're going to get in compliance in 6 years, but 6 years never arrives, right? We budget on a 2-year budget cycle. We have the ability to pass or not pass a bonding bill each session. What would ensure that if we were to deviate, that we actually would be in compliance within 6 years versus always having it be, just a few years away and we'll be in compliance?
Deputy Commissioner.
Yep. Madam Chair, Senator Rasmussen, it's a good question. I think this is where the benefit of the debt capacity report looking out 6 years ahead means that we will always be being transparent within that construct to be able to show what the expected trajectory is, and that folks will have a chance twice a year when we publish the updated report to track along and whether we're still projecting, if we ever did take advantage of that flexibility and dipped below the 40% and 70%, there will be transparency around it, and we'll have the opportunity to have conversations about the impact of that.
Any other questions? Senator Housley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think what Senator Rasmussen was saying, and we had some side conversations on this last week after we met with you, I guess we're just not real comfortable with MMB deciding the new guidelines without it going through the legislature. We just weren't really comfortable with, like Senator Rasmussen said, what happens if it goes beyond the 6 years. So it's something, thank you so much for presenting all of that and having the meeting with us on Zoom the other day, Teams. But we just not real comfortable with just MMB and not having it go through the legislature and fully vet through committees. That's all, Madam Chair.
Senator Housley, I think that's what we're doing. And just so you recall, I don't know that the guidelines ever went through the legislature. They always were MMB guidelines. I'm sorry, Senator Rasmussen, did you have more? And then Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Assistant Commissioner. And I guess, to me, when I look at the guidelines, the Guideline 3 has been the biggest constraint on MMB and the legislature in terms of the scale of a bonding bill. But that's why I would also argue Guideline 3 is the most important, because without Guideline 3 or by loosening Guideline 3, you're effectively allowing one legislature and one administration to pull forward the borrowing capacity of future legislatures and future administrations. And we've seen some states who have done that to their peril when they will basically max out their credit card for a generation. with different decisions that they've made, and that could create some real issues. And so I would concur with Senator Housley that I think these guidelines are important, and if we think they're important, we should be we should not have a plan to deviate from them temporarily with the hope that a future legislature is going to be more fiscally responsible than the one that chose to deviate. And I think that's, I also have the opportunity to serve on the Pension Commission, and we see that too, where we have pension standards, and there's a funny way that we never get to fully fund it with these pension plans, even though that's the goal. The deadline keeps on getting pushed out. And so I worry that even though we're saying, nope, we're keeping the guideline the same, we're just allowing for a temporary departure from that, I worry that it effectively will become a permanent departure over time.
Senator Rasmussen, I've been on the Capital Investment Committee for, 20-some years, and it wasn't until last year that we even bumped up against the third guideline. I never even thought about the third guideline being a problem for us in terms of determining ourselves what we wanted to borrow. And I just wanted to bring your attention to slide number 15. And the Transportation Committee did this, I don't remember when they did it, maybe a couple of years ago, where they authorized trunk highway bonds into the future. So that, good intentions, they wanted to make sure that MnDOT, when they were planning a major highway project, they're very expensive, that they, and I'm sorry Senator Dibble has left us, that they would not have to worry about having enough money to complete the project. But the trunk highway bonds count toward Guideline 3. So I don't know, maybe Assistant Commissioner has some comments on this as well to see if my assumption is correct, that it's really the trunk highway bonds that has created kind of a problem for us with GO bonds in terms of the third guideline. Commissioner?
Madam Chair, Senator Rasmussen, I don't have all the data with me to know exactly the role that the trunk highway bonds are playing within the Guideline 3 calculations, but there have been some large authorizations, and then the large 2020 and 2023 bonding bill as well, just added to the calculations. And all of those projects are working through the pipeline and moving towards construction, but you can see from the table you referenced here on slide 15 that there's about 1.3 billion of general fund supported GO debt still out there to sell, and about 936 million of trunk highway bonds.
Done? Okay, Senator Pratt.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and Ms. Hasmer, I appreciate you being here today. Madam Chair, I share the same concerns that Senator Rasmussen and Senator Housley have outlined. And, Ms. Hasmer knows I have a lot of interest in what our guidelines are and how we do the debt, and we're not actually looking at a true debt capacity. But I think it's interesting that, you said it's not until recently we bumped up against the third guideline. And it seems to me that just because we bump up against the guideline doesn't mean we should change it or change how we view it. The guideline is very definitive. At least 40% of outstanding general obligation debt shall be scheduled to mature within 5 years. Not within a 6-year window, but at any given point in time. And as we continue to talk through this and pull in borrowing capacity from future years, what are we going to do when we bump up against Guideline 3 next year, the year after? This presumes, and we don't have the data here to show what that chart looks like. We saw it when we had our online meeting with Ms. Hasmer, but it's not here today to show what that Guideline 3 looks like over that 6-year window. And it doesn't tell us what that does to the debt forecast, debt capacity forecast in out years if we were to take that recommendation. And so then we'll be stuck. And we'll want to do some projects and we won't have the debt capacity to do it, but well, maybe we'll just take a look at how we view Guideline 3 again. Because gosh darn it, that's just getting in the way of what we're trying to accomplish today. And we put ourselves into a very tough financial position that when we need this borrowing capacity the most, let's say it were a natural disaster, it won't be there. Now is when we do the prudent financial management. Now is when we look at those guidelines and say they're there for a reason with the words shall for a very specific reason. And I really think we need to take a look at that and not change how we interpret guideline 3. I do think that the guidelines should be ratified by the legislature and not just by the executive branch. And I do think, Ms. Hasmer, I'm going to stay on this until the end of my term. I do think we need to look at a true debt capacity. But Madam Chair, I just am very concerned if we are borrowing future capacity to cover today's needs and not have it when we need it most. Thank you.
Senator Pratt, I just wanted to remind you that we are well under guideline 1 and 2. So I think that we're still in safe territory, and no one is advocating here today that we deviate from the 1.2 billion. Assistant Commissioner, do you remember off the top of your head over the next biennium what the guideline 3 would allow us to borrow?
That is a great question, Madam Chair. I know we have it published in the debt capacity forecast. Let me flip there quick.
Debt capacity forecast.
So it looks like for 28, 29, looking.
On what page are you looking at?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, it's on page 9 of the debt capacity forecast. If you're looking at it biennially for fiscal year 28, 29, it looks like it's about $1.4 billion. And that would be with the $1.2 billion that I mentioned for 2026.
Okay, thank you. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you know, we take our guidelines, not just looking at 1 and 2, we take all 3 guidelines into account when we determine the capacity. Ms. Hasmer, if you were to do the change in how you evaluate guideline 3, what would that do to those 28 through 31 years?
Ms. Hasmer.
Madam Chair, Senator Pratt, that would require some additional modeling that we could certainly work on behind the scenes, but we would need to get back to the committee about that.
Any other questions from members of the committee? All right, thank you very much for always a very stimulating conversation about guidelines. And we'll see you all next Tuesday. The meeting is adjourned.